said, where it was, I do conceive of it as a sort of equality, where it's not, the system isn't actually, we're working towards a system that isn't actually hindering people's growth, which I think at this point it is hindering people's growth, so when I think about social justice, it's working towards a level playing field, to start from.
It's interesting because even before I heard your responses, when I thought of social justice, I also immediately thought of equality, everyone having the same rights to things, and also like everyone having an equal voice in things, which I think is why I really like art and our project, because we really try to bring out these voices that aren't often heard in the mainstream media, in politics and things like that, and have them, have their say and show their opinions, and allow people who, aren't necessarily part of that moment, but become part of it. And, we'll be showing something and people come up to us and they immediately start sharing their thoughts and their opinions. Because it feels like, we're still fighting towards something. And I really liked that idea of potential that you said, that like right now we're stifling people's potential, and that by creating more equal opportunities, that is a sort of justice, and that people can grow and thrive in a new type of world.
When you think about Baltimore as a city, there's a really thriving street art scene, and it's not necessarily something that is relegated to only people who have a formal art education or who have enough money to show in a gallery. It's really sort of all across the board. Anyone who wants to can go out and make things, and they can make commentary about their situation in life literally in public, on the walls, if they're choosing to. And I think a number of them are socially motivated street artists. And so I sort of see ourselves in that setting, but on a temporary basis, on maybe a more organized basis, simply because we work with organizations to bring their messages to light. But I do think that the visual nature of our project is important to me. It's very important to me, and I think it plays a large role in how people will absorb the information that we're giving them. So for me, the art and design part of it is tantamount. Yeah, it's sometimes a difficult thing when a very exciting group will come to us with a very short timeline for getting a projection out for like an event that they're putting on, and it's not always easy for us to create content in partnership with a group in a very fast manner. So it's a little bit disappointing when we don't get to do that. It's happened only a handful of times, but I think a reward is always interacting with people during a projection and seeing people on the street as they figure out what the whole project is about simply by being like introduced to it via the imagery. And then they come up and talk to you sometimes, and it's good street interaction. I like our street interactions.
I think the challenges that we face are the challenges that all, I think, social justice artists or activist artists face. And part of it is expectations, and the expectations that we impose on ourselves, and this idea that a work of art can create a revolution, which is really unlikely. Like, it's devastatingly unlikely. I think that works of art can complement organizing. That's one of the things that's cool about Baltimore and being in Baltimore right now. In addition to there being a very active street art scene, there's also there are a lot of really active, inspiring groups organizing around Baltimore right now. And we've already noted that we do a lot of collaboration with groups. So the fact that we're in a rich environment, both in terms of social movements and organizing and street art, it's a good spot to be in. But then what's the role of an artist in that scene? One thing that artists are in distinction from other types of organizers, like, we're artists, this is what we do, and this is the contribution that we're making, but it's not the same grind as someone that's doing 80 hours a week of door knocking. And frankly, even though there are challenges in doing art, and coming up with ideas and executing them, especially me, since I have practically no technical skills at all, it's not the same kind of grind. Like, art is fun. That's one of the things that's appealing about what art can contribute to social movements, or in helping visualize and helping make it fun. There's one quote from an African artist that I know from the back of a T-shirt by a group called Art and Revolution in San Francisco. But the quote was something like, "The role of the revolutionary artist is to make the revolution irresistible." And that presupposes that there is some sort of revolutionary activity. Like, so for me, that art is a complement. And the reason I noted in this question you asked about challenges is like when we were filling out one of our first grant applications, the foundation was asking who our audience was going to be and how big and how diverse our audience would be. And we were like, well, Baltimore is a city of 650,000 people, and we're going to be projecting all the way across the city, and we're going to be doing things that are so visually dominant in the landscape of the city that everyone's going to see it, and the media is going to cover it, and everyone's going to get it. So in this grant application, we said something like, our audience is 650,000 people, and it's 65% African American and 20% white, and it was just like, what? Now a year and a half later, it's like, okay, so I guess one of the things that we did that we published on Facebook hit 10,000 people, and maybe 1,000 people or so see our projections and mostly don't know what it is when they pass by. So that's a challenge. I noted that we came out of Occupy Baltimore, and that was the scene that we emerged from. And there's a very specific process culture that formed around Occupy Baltimore that had to do with absolute openness, the ability of anyone to participate however they felt they were able or capable. And we broke away from that. We're a consensus-based group, but we had to raise money to buy some very expensive equipment. We've had to do a bunch of stuff, and we decided that we wanted each of the members of the organization to commit in meaningful ways. And that for us meant not simply opening the doors and allowing anyone to float in and out and feel like they had equal say in the organization. And the real, in as much as we've had pushback, it's been from that same scene that we emerged from, which was this Occupy scene, where folks were like, well, they've got money now and they're not democratic, or they don't want people like us to participate. And people like us meant people that we didn't invite to join the group, not any particular demographic. So we've gotten that pushback, and those are just choices that you make in how you're organizing. It doesn't mean you're not democratic. It doesn't mean you're not open. It means, for me, it's meant that we've been more intentional. That we've as opposed to many other groups that emerged from that scene, we've kept a steady regime of long weekly meetings, and we've met weekly, with few exceptions when a lot of folks have been out of town. We've met weekly for however long it's been now. I don't know. You said a year and a half. Maybe it's been more than that.
Almost 2.
Yeah, it's almost 2 years. I don't think I put anything on top, and definitely I've evolved to see it all as being part of a matrix. And like you had used the term art as a tack on. I had used the term earlier as art as a complement to good organizing. And here again, like, we all bring different skills, different possibilities, in our case different gear, into the mix. And I very much view it as this complementary matrix, and when everything is working right, you end up with something magical.
That might be the whole foundation of Green Pants as a whole, because in my mind, I do consider art more on top than other organizing, but other people in the group come from a different place in an organizing background, or they have a different set of skills. So together we are forming a group that has a different set of priorities and skills, working together and sort of getting it done in a really interesting way.
Yeah. For me, it's always been equal, coming from both arts and organizing, and seeing that as, I don't know, like two halves of a whole, and that they can both work together. So, but I agree, we all did come. I think that's one of the really great things about our group, is that we bring all these different levels of expertise and different knowledge and skill bases, and it comes together, and we can come up with all these different types of projections and different projects because of that.